Good afternoon on what is a very warm, bright and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 13th of June. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. And I've already pulled out of here the Mougenot supplement for Shadows of Esteren. Very nice setting book for the French role-playing game. And below that, what have I got next? It is The Great Campaign, a Globetrotting campaign in 4 glorious parts by Sarah Newton, 4 Leagues of Adventure. The Great Game is afoot. It's a time of revolution, a time of exploration and discovery. The Great Campaign is an epic adventure set over 4 parts. Our heroic Globetrotters travel to Cambridge, where they are drawn into a dangerous plot to overthrow the British government. As more clues are discovered, our heroes uncover an anarchist group, the Communist League, who believe that new technology will usher in a new and better world. The old order must be destroyed before this new world order can commence. The Globetrotters set off in search of the anarchist leader, Nikolai Fyodorov, to try and put a stop to their dastardly plan. The trail leads them to the distant Pamir Mountains. Can the Globetrotters stop the communists? In The Great Campaign, you will find the Great Campaign adventure in 4 parts. Character pre-gens, extra henchmen and followers, new gadgets and gizmos, new Leagues of Adventure. Leagues of Adventure and The Great Campaign is a steampunk Victorian adventure role-playing game from Triple Ace Games. The Great Campaign requires Leagues of Adventure to play. So, The Great Campaign for Leagues of Adventure. Now, Leagues of Adventure is a Victorian adventure globetrotting role-playing game published by Triple Ace Games. It uses the Ubiquity system, first seen in Hollow Expedition, and consequently seen in role-playing games like Desolation and the most recent version of Space 1889. And it's well supported with source books and a few adventures. It was originally written by Paul Wiggy Wade Williams, and this marks the first campaign for it, and that's quite a long time. And this is because this role-playing game has got to be somewhere sort of like 10 years old, and it's not had a campaign. This one has been waiting in the wings, I gather, for quite some time. And the other thing is, this is in colour. This, I think, is the first book in colour for the general release for the Leagues of Adventure. So we start off. We have Game Master notes, and this really is sort of like, you know, the Great Campaign alludes to the Great Game, which was just essentially a Cold War, fought primarily between Russia and Great Britain during the middle to late 19th century for control of Central Asia, what was known as the Roof of the World, and the passage really between down through Afghanistan and into India, the Khyber Pass, because through then, you know, that was always seen as sort of like a natural path of expansion for the Russian Empire, and of course what stood in the way was the British Empire and British India. So we have it's essentially discussion of the opposition in the Great Game, whether or not to use this with Leagues of Gothic Horror, which is the horror source book for Leagues of Adventure, how to run investigations and use the pre-gens and so on, potential patrons who will, you know, basically help the player characters on their mission. So, you know, we've got those all ready to add, and then we are into the Dreaming Spires. And this, again, the other thing, this takes place in the late 19th century, and Britain was rife with revolutionaries, mostly underground. You know, you had primarily 2 types. You had Fenians, who were fomenting for Irish independence, and you had anarchists who were just against the government. And both committed several bombing campaigns throughout the period, not always, not particularly effectively, in that they didn't achieve their aims. They did kill people, unfortunately. So anyway, chapter 1, you're in Cambridge. Well, they attend Trinity College and encounter an anarchist, including discovering the Feuderhof pamphlet, which will set his great ideas out, his philosophy, and there will be. You've got a guide to the rooftop, so there's going to be a rooftop chase, so we have exploration that's going on. Nice touch. You have the ragged trousered anarchist, as opposed to the ragged trousered philanthropist. And explanations throughout as to what's going on for the benefit of the game master. Including some, quite nice artwork as well. Decent maps. Complete guide to Fen House. So there'll be a major scene there. And then back to Trinity College. Including an encounter underneath Trinity College in the cellars. And then we've basically got an epilogue of what's happened here. And a list of rewards for the player characters. Before we've got one major handout, then we had the Emerald Scarab Conspiracy, part 2. Including travelling in an early vehicle, a early motor car. It could be a steam car, in fact, or could even be an electric car, depending upon the not the manufacturer but the inventor. And this is basically got a guide to London in the 1890s. Before we get into the plot itself. And then we've got discussion here of Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. And that's going to be interesting because Tsiolkovsky was essentially a physicist and a theorist who talked about the first ideas behind proper space flight. Encountering the Anglo-Russian Friendly Society, and running into it actually because of Feuderhof expedition, as well as a rocket scientist. Because if you encounter Tsiolkovsky, you'll encounter a rocket scientist. Of course, you will. Episode 2 is the Ice Leviathan, which sort of almost takes up on a Moorcockian, Michael Moorcock kind of style feel with the Oswald Bastables books. So more of this excellent artwork. Well, there's a strangely elongated neck. Episode 3, Conspiracy Whispers. And there we have deck plans of the HMS Imria, the Ice Leviathan. No image of it though so far. We do have an attack at the Opera House. And we have a prototype in front of St. June, and real notes there about the real Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. And then Journey to the Roof of the World. Going out to the Palmyra Mountains, And here we have a map of Central Asia where the action takes place. And here we're kind of into the sort of like the tales of Rudyard Kipling and the like, you know, the man who would be king. And of course we have a strange valley, because of course you do in this kind of adventure. And you encounter sort of like, you know, out in the region you have the desert, the black sands, the haunt of the dark, you know, tinged there with a little bit of horror and the mythos, a tomb to explore. You're going to encounter the demon of the desert. And so on. And the mother of all spiders. So, yep, until we get down to the epilogue, before we're all ready for the final part of the campaign, which is Paradise Lost. And you head into the Pamir Mountains proper. So you've got a guide to the ruins, and travel in the region. Hospitality that the player characters might receive, the Globetrotters as they're known. That's the general term for player characters in the society, in the game, rather than an actual sort of like proper name. And then encounters with the tree people deep in the mountains, and the city of, or town of, Zilfigar. Where the player characters might end up in the Tower of the Condemned, or probably will end up in the Tower of the Condemned, because that's the way these adventures should go. And then there's an ascent of the glacier. This is basically climbing to the top of the world, discovering Iskandir's prison, and I'll take a guess. Iskandir is potentially, essentially, is also the name by which Alexander the Great is known. So you know they could be discovering his tomb, which would be actually amazing. And then up there'll be a dilemma and a betrayal. And then, of course, it's escape all the way back to India, passage to India, and then you've got the rewards for the chapter. And there's also a list of sources here, and discussion of potential future, a cosmist future. And here we have the characters, and these are done generically. So you've got the explorer with character background, role-playing, notes, and we're going to do the same for things like the expedition planner and the dilettante, author, former soldier, all of those. So you've got essentially a variety of different archetypes from which to choose and how to fit them into the campaign. Followers to bring along, or encounter as NPCs. So lots of those. Additional characters, so these are new. You've got an American sportsman, ballerina, charlatan, gourmet chef, investigator, Master Avenger 6, Man-Bat. And then things like, you've got Strongman as well, and then Detective, Leagues of Gothic Horror. So you've got sort of like not just characters for the standard Leagues of Adventure, but also the horror variant. And then gadgets as well. So adrenaline pills, endless chainsaw, enhanced diving suits, enhanced smoke bombs, enhanced thunder bombs. weapons, arm-mounted double-barrel shotgun, vehicles such as the handsome dreadnought or the motorised omnibus, living creations, clockwork soldier, more leagues of adventure. So these are also other organisations that the player characters can belong to. They all belong to, a player character belongs to a league in Leagues of Adventure and gains a benefit and from doing so, and also, you know, essentially owes a sort of like not just dues, but essentially loyalty and support. So more new leagues you can join to, all the way down to the Silent Club and the Tobacconist Club. So that's the great campaign, the first campaign available for Leagues of Adventure. If you are looking for a pulp kind of style adventure in sort of classic Victoriana, then the Great Campaign is very much going to be something you're going to want to look at. So yeah, the Great Campaign, written by Sarah Newton, author of Mindjammer in particular, and published by Triple Ace Games. Hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below, and of course if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.